The night Ethan Carter left home for the last time, he didn't slam the door or shout. He simply walked out, carrying nothing but the weight of betrayal that had hollowed him from the inside. The house behind him still smelled like his mother's cooking, still echoed with the memories of childhood laughter, yet it no longer felt like home. The reason was simple and unforgivable. His own brother, Lucas Carter, had destroyed everything Ethan believed in. Growing up, Ethan and Lucas were inseparable. They were only 2 years apart, raised in a quiet American suburb where neighbors waved from porches and kids rode bikes until the streetlights came on. Lucas, the elder brother, was charming, confident, and naturally gifted. Teachers admired him, friends followed him, and adults trusted him without question. Ethan, on the other hand, was quieter, more thoughtful, always living in the shadow of his brother's brilliance. Despite the differences, Ethan loved Lucas deeply. Lucas was his protector at school, his partner in mischief, and the person he trusted more than anyone else in the world. When their father died suddenly of a heart attack, it was Lucas who stood tall at the funeral and it was Ethan who leaned on him, believing blood could never betray blood. Years passed, and life pulled them in different directions. Lucas went into business, chasing money and power with ruthless ambition. Ethan studied hard, earned a scholarship, and later started working as a financial analyst. He believed in honesty, structure, and rules. Lucas believed rules were for people who lacked courage. When Lucas came to Ethan with a business proposal, Ethan didn't hesitate. Lucas wanted him to help manage accounts for a new real estate investment firm. "It's family," Lucas said, smiling confidently. "We rise together." Ethan ignored the small voice in his head that whispered caution. At first, everything seemed legitimate. Money flowed in, properties were purchased, and the company expanded rapidly. Ethan worked long nights, balancing numbers and ensuring everything aligned. But slowly, inconsistencies appeared. Missing funds, altered records, offshore transfers that made no sense. When Ethan confronted Lucas privately, Lucas laughed it off. He said Ethan was overthinking, that this was how big business worked in America. "You're too clean for this world," Lucas said. "Trust me." Ethan wanted to trust him. He wanted to believe his brother would never cross a line that could ruin them both. But the evidence grew heavier, and the truth became impossible to ignore. Lucas was laundering money and using Ethan's credentials to legitimize illegal transactions. The breaking point came when federal investigators knocked on Ethan's apartment door. They had documents, signatures, digital trails. Everything pointed to Ethan as the mastermind behind the operation. Lucas had erased himself clean, leaving Ethan exposed. Shock turned into horror when Ethan realized his brother had planned it all from the beginning. Lucas didn't answer his calls. Didn't show up to court. Didn't even send a message. Ethan lost his job, his reputation, and nearly his freedom. Only a lack of direct evidence saved him from prison, but his career was destroyed. Friends distanced themselves. His mother, confused and heartbroken, asked questions Ethan couldn't answer without breaking her heart. Lucas, meanwhile, disappeared with millions. For years, Ethan lived a quiet, invisible life. He moved to a different state, worked under a different name, and rebuilt himself piece by piece. The anger never left him. It settled deep inside his chest, cold and patient. Revenge wasn't something he actively planned at first. It was something that slowly grew, fed by memories and injustice. Ethan learned everything he could about financial law, cybersecurity, and forensic accounting. He worked freelance jobs, helping companies find fraud. Ironically, he became an expert at exposing men exactly like his brother. One night, nearly 10 years later, Ethan saw Lucas's face on a news article. Lucas Carter had returned. He was being praised as a successful entrepreneur, a philanthropist even, running a tech startup in California. His face looked older, sharper, but the same confident smile remained. He had reinvented himself, just as Ethan had feared he would. That night, something in Ethan finally snapped into focus. This wasn't about anger anymore. It was about justice. Ethan didn't rush. He studied Lucas's company quietly. He followed financial trails, shell corporations, and fake charities. Lucas had grown smarter but also bolder. He was doing the same things again, believing himself untouchable. Ethan created a digital identity and slowly embedded himself into Lucas's business world. He posed as a consultant, then an investor, earning trust the same way Lucas once had with him. Lucas never recognized him. To Lucas, Ethan was just another useful tool. The irony was bitter. Ethan gathered evidence for months. Not just enough to expose Lucas, but enough to ensure there was no escape this time. He recorded conversations, traced transactions, mapped every illegal move. The final step was the hardest. Ethan arranged a private meeting with Lucas under the guise of a major investment deal. They met in a sleek office overlooking the city skyline. Lucas talked confidently, unaware of the storm sitting across from him. When Ethan finally revealed his identity, Lucas froze. The smile vanished. The color drained from his face. "Ethan," he whispered, as if seeing a ghost. Ethan didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply placed a folder on the table. Inside was Lucas's entire downfall. "You took my life," Ethan said calmly. "Now you get to face yours." Lucas begged. He apologized. He blamed fear, greed, even their father's death. He said he never meant for things to go that far. But Ethan had heard enough lies for one lifetime. Ethan didn't turn him in personally. He sent everything anonymously to federal authorities, journalists, and investors. Within weeks, Lucas's empire collapsed. His accounts were frozen. His partners turned against him. News channels ran his story on repeat. Lucas was arrested. At the trial, Lucas searched the courtroom for Ethan, but Ethan never appeared. He didn't need to. Watching from a distance was enough. Lucas was sentenced to decades in federal prison. Ethan visited his mother afterward, not to explain everything, but simply to sit with her. He helped her, supported her, and protected her from the truth she didn't need to know. Revenge didn't bring Ethan joy. It didn't heal all wounds. But it gave him closure. It returned his name, his dignity, and his future. Years later, Ethan stood in front of his own company, built on honesty and transparency. He helped others who had been destroyed by fraud, turning pain into purpose. Blood had betrayed him, but it had not defined him. In the end, Ethan learned that revenge wasn't about destroying his brother. It was about reclaiming himself.